HROB Leadership Implementation, Chapter 5 is our discussion for today. When we look at this type of leadership implementation, we're going to look at it purely from a leadership standpoint as one of the components, quality and how we do things in a on a quality basis, and then an appreciative approach, which is a little bit different from what we've traditionally seen, and we'll go into detail in regard to that. So, when we're looking at leadership, we want to look at authenticity in leadership, being positive as well as having an emerging thought process in regard to our thought authenticity. Another element of leadership, being aware and understanding there are going to be different situations that you may have to respond to when you're looking to implement your plan, being sensitive to the cultural aspect of what you're doing, as well as looking at the political ramification of what you do. The third component is acknowledgement. And so this acknowledgement is about these actionable tools that we can agree upon that are necessary for implementation and acknowledge what those are. And then keeping in mind that there are others that have their perspective in regard to this, and that's an important piece of what we're doing. The fourth piece is accountability. With accountability, we're looking at a component of change on a regular basis because we understand that things will change in our implementation. Being solution based, which we'll talk about with an appreciative approach. And then being inclusive from an accountability standpoint so that this transparency allows us to open the doors for trust and respect for what we're doing. And then last but not least, the action planning that we take from a leadership standpoint in our implementation. So the maintains the primary focus for what we're doing, helps us align with the initiatives and the goals within the organization. There's a constant linking that people can visibly see in the actionable steps we take, and is always goal oriented. So why should we consider quality then in what we do? Well, there's a number of reasons why quality is important. You keep people involved. You identify opportunities. There's always room for analysis and focus. The solutions that you develop are inclusive. The evaluation process is pure, and the innovation is constant within the organization. And so quality really helps us in the way that it benefits our organization. There's consistency, there's completeness, there's conformity. There's a loss or less waste of time and money. There's clarity, less rework, higher productivity, and then stakeholder satisfaction that we deliver not only is agreed upon, but it's appreciated at a much higher level. So you can see quality has some great benefits as it relates to leadership. So this appreciative approach really falls right in line with that. So with appreciative inquiry, we are looking for solutions in the 21st century workplace. So how do we leverage the strengths in the workplace against the competition's weaknesses? Who's responsible for this leverage from a leadership standpoint? And how do we go from a position of weakness to a position of strength? What types of tools might we need in order to do that? Well, the appreciative approach is all about the cooperative search for the best in people, their organizations, and the world around them. We actually accentuate the strengths or the things we've done well from a leadership perspective to create new possibilities. And this is how we want to start to think about conducting our leadership and its implementation in the 21st century. So in the 20th century, we did a lot of problem solving, which meant that we organized around what was broken. We limit our focus in doing so. And then the strategy was to find the problem and then, of course, fix it. In the 21st century, when we take the appreciative approach, we're actually organizing around what is working. And so this broadens the perspective and really gives us opportunities to focus on. And then we're looking at design and creation of solutions as a part of our strategy. So the thought process, although a simple one, it's a little more difficult to execute on. The thought process is we go from organizing around what's broken to organizing around what is working and using that strength to help us leverage into a new type of solution. So how do we take these steps toward working in this appreciative inquiry environment? Well, understand that what we focus on becomes our reality. And in our organization, something about our leadership is working. We need to find what that is and become motivated about it. Align the best of what we've done in the past to some possibilities to connect to the new innovative thought processes in the future. And then this puts us in a position to learn how to anticipate and really create a new type of reality. Because appreciative inquiry and that mindset can be extremely important in today's HR and OB environment. Because when we start to ask questions, it puts us in a position to be a positive influence with our teams, as well as we can motivate people to start to operate at their ideal performance state, that point where their talents and their skills are coming together at a crossroads to go to full ignition and sustainability over time as an individual and then collectively as a team. And in order to make those connections, we really need to look at people as our primary asset, which they truly are, and in more of an integrated fashion. The spiritual, mental, emotional, even physical aspect of how they bring their skills and talents to the workplace and how we leverage those strengths. This creates an environment that can foster continuous improvement and create a more positive culture for us overall. So, how do we make that work in our daily leadership activities? Well, we have to be able to seek out and reach out to people who are different from us and have a different perspective because that allows us to learn. We then have to look at challenging people beyond their perceived capabilities in the workplace. We coach and develop to accelerate the learning process to create more change. And then last but not least, we remove ourselves or we get out of the way. We enable people by supporting them to do what it is they do best. We don't have an expectation they'll do what we want them to do. We have more of an expectation that we've helped supported them to do what they think is best in that situation. So in a leadership environment that really is changing at warp speed and needs to perform consistently at a high level, this is really difficult to do. And on top of that, the U.S. Department of Labor states that we need these core competencies. We need these types of skills on a regular basis. So where are we going to find them? Where are these skills and qualities going to come from? Well, this gives you an option with appreciative inquiry to be able to look at them a little bit differently. How you interact with others, and most importantly, how you and your organization can evolve to become something more. And this can help you in your justification in leadership plans and also in how you approach life in general. So here are some definitions that might be helpful: leadership, quality, appreciative inquiry. So, what did we learn today? Well, hopefully, we understand that there's some key elements that really serve as kind of a foundation for our HR and OB plan from an implementation standpoint. Leadership being one of those, quality being the other, and appreciative inquiry being the third. But it helps position us from a leadership standpoint. And you should be able to see that because we are focusing on leadership, that helps us. Because we do it with a quality perspective, that assists us. And because we're not looking at problems and we're looking at solutions, that positions us. Here is your thought for the day. The person who stops being better stops being good.